everybody. I'm Glen Kuiper. Welcome to the Glen Kuiper Show, All Giants, streaming live here on my YouTube channel. It's a post-game edition as we will talk about the series that just ended, the game today, a little disappointing. And so it is indeed a post-game edition, and we'll get to that in a moment. But I have to introduce my co-host tonight. I'm psyched that he's co-hosting with me. He's such a good dude. He's a flamethrower. High heat. He comes at you strong. He's got an opinion on everything, and that's why he's very successful in this business. Damon Bruce is with us tonight for the entire show. DB, how are you, buddy?
Glen, you rascal. It is so good to see you. Thank you for having me. What an honor it is to share your show on my channel as well. If you are watching this bad boy over on the Plus, subscribe to Glen Kuiper All Giants. Is that the name of it, the channel officially?
That's it. Glen Kuiper Show, All Giants. Keep it simple.
I love it.
That's my name, and that's what I want to talk about. So I figured that was the best way to come up with a title.
Well, I tell you, it's been a really interesting year so far for the Giants. Yeah. You know, we were just chit-chatting a little bit before we got going here, and I said there's a lot of reasons I'm angry at baseball. There's a lot of reasons why the sport doesn't speak to me the way that it used to.
We're going to get to those too, by the way.
But then all of a sudden baseball starts happening. And when it's good baseball, it sucks you in. And I tell you, the Giants have made me lean forward into what they're doing more than I actually thought that they would until either the Warriors were done, which could be this evening, for goodness sakes. So it is time to lean in. And for those who have been out and haven't leaned in, you've been missing a pretty good baseball team that is playing like some old school baseball. The Farhan days and platoons everywhere. Glen, it's over. Thank God.
Yeah. It is a different deal, different vibe, and we could see it right away in spring training. And it's sometimes a vibe is hard to explain to people because it's got some nuances that maybe you don't see, and it doesn't necessarily show up in a box score, but there is a different feeling. And I think they're just a more confident group. And I think the players are showing more confidence in the front office, and they like the way the front office is going about it. And you know what? In the course of a long season, I mean, you got to have a lot of talent, but that can help you as a group. I think it holds you together as a team. And that stuff is really important in baseball because you play so many games. And that's sort of what I've seen in the early going. But today, disappointing. They lose 8-7. Come back again like they always seem to do, DB, but they're now 25-19. Arizona wins 2 out of 3. Giants are in one of those funks, Damon, where they've lost 5 out of 6. So it's a bad week, right? It's a bad 6-7 days. But you see this all the time. And the good teams, you see it a little bit less. The bad teams, you see it a lot more. But when they get good pitching, they don't hit, okay? And if you look at this 6-game stretch, they lose 3-1, 2-1, 2-1. When they do hit, they don't pitch. You look at this 6-game stretch, they've lost games 7-6 and 8-7. It's just one of those things that happens in a baseball season, and you just don't want it to last too long. But that's that weird little funk that the Giants are in right now.
It's tough to see a 7 spot on the scoreboard and it's a loss, especially for this. When you're struggling to score runs and then you finally do, and you're still going home on the wrong side of a decision.
Especially when you're a pitching and defense team, with the Giants claim that they are, and I think that they are.
Yeah, they definitely are. And the way I look at this team right now is they're getting back to the way baseball needs to be played. You got already 5 guys on this team with 150 at-bats underneath their belt. Like, that needs to happen. You can't just have all these interchangeable parts. I think you do yourself wrong when you just obey the abacus and you get guys out of their rhythm. I mean, the number one complaint I heard coming out of the Giants clubhouse through the entirety of the Farhan era, including the 107-win season where everything went as well as it could possibly go. And this, having been around these ball players, they want to know what they need to do when they come to the ballpark. Showing up and then finding out, like, oh, I'm not playing today, or I'm platooning today, I am in the lineup today. That wears on guys. Knowing that you're going to be in there every day in the lineup, I think, is important. And this is, just sort of the tone that Buster Posey's regime is setting again. Baseball players who are good enough to play every day. I think that that's important. I really do. And so guys know what their expectations are. Bob Melvin is in control, I think, of the lineup again. It's not some spreadsheet that gets sent to him 2 hours before first pitch. I think that's good for the Giants. And what is also good is the guys who really, I think, need to have big years at the plate to take this from can they be interesting to can they be a wild card team? Can they really be a postseason team? Guys that need to hit aren't even really hitting yet.
Yeah.
And they've still had this much success. So, you can look at this glass half full or glass half empty if you want to. Given to what I thought I was going to get served in my glass, Glenn, I'm going to tell you it's 3/4 full. It's pretty damn good. It's taking the Padres coming out of the gates like world beaters. The Padres think they're the Dodgers. You basically can't beat them at Petco. They're so good at home. And then the Dodgers were built to be the scariest baseball team on the planet. And they're living up to that expectation. So it's, the Giants in any other division are in first or second place around all of baseball. They're just in a brutal NL West, and they have met the mark so far. They really have.
Yeah, we just saw the Diamondbacks, for the first time. And I, seeing them last year and even the year before, I really like the way the Diamondbacks play. Talent-wise, they got some really good players.
Yeah.
How much better are they, or how much worse they are? How do they compare to the Giants? I think that's something we'll continue to look at as the season goes on. But I like the way the Diamondbacks play. They play with speed. They catch everything defensively. We saw it this weekend. I mean, the guy made a catch in left field that won the game for him on Monday night. But they just play with just kind of an extra zip. They got good speed. They go first to third. They, like I said, they catch everything. I like the way they play. I'm not saying they're better than the Padres. I'm not saying they're better than the Dodgers. I'm not even saying they're necessarily better than the Giants. But I like watching them play because they have some excitement just with
what they look like
and the way they play.
You know what they look like? They look like a National League team.
Yeah.
They run around. And looking at, just historic catcher throwout rates, I've always said, man, if I were a manager and I had an ounce of speed on my team, it would look like a carousel out there. I would be moving guys all the time. I would be hitting and running. I'd be swiping bases. And, they're aggressive. And when you think you're lacking in a, how we built this team financially or the real talent that we have, you got to get everything that you got. I mean, look, Corbin Carroll is awesome, right?
Yeah, he's phenomenal. He really is.
So, you got to build around that guy. You're going to do some things. Guillermo Perdomo. Why am I struggling? He can play. Suarez can play.
Marte's terrific. Yeah.
They're good. I like them. And again, they're in fourth place. I mean, let's just do everyone a favor right now and promise them we're not going to talk about the Colorado Rockies, and the Giants shouldn't dump another game to them bums. They are terrible. They're designed to be terrible.
Yeah, that's that weird thing this year is in that division, you can't lose a game to the Rockies.
No,
you really can't. But let's stick with this division a little bit, Damon, because it's interesting. In the National League, I just looked at some team numbers. And again, we're 44 games in, so these things will change a little bit. But you have to score runs in the National League West, or you better have your pitchers ready to go to prevent runs. Because all these teams that we're talking about, these four teams, they are all extremely dangerous offensively, right? You look at the Dodgers are second in the National League in runs scored, first in home runs. Arizona is third in runs, third in homers. Giants are fifth in runs, fifth in homers. And that didn't even say the San Diego Padres, who got off to a really slow start offensively, right? But now that group is starting to kick in. Their lineup is getting healthy. I mean, you look at their lineup, I mean, they will be in the top 5 or 6 by the end of the year in total runs scored. So I guess my point is you just have to be so ready to play a full game when you play one of these teams from the National League West. And you just can't slip up because each team and each lineup is powerful, but powerful in kind of different ways, right? Dodgers are just scary, right? They're going to just hit the ball out of the ballpark. We just talked about Arizona. San Diego, man. I mean, San Diego's lineup is scary. And it's surprising that it took them this long to kind of get going offensively. And then we see what the Giants do, where they manage to score runs. I still think they're a hitter short, but it just makes even more intrigue surrounding that National League West with the way these teams can score runs.
Yeah, I mean, you score 700 runs in the NL West, that might be good enough for fourth place in the National League West. That's how many times, they just stack them and stack them and stack them. And these are pitcher-friendly ballparks, but for Arizona and Colorado on a warm day, obviously at altitude, the ball flies. But you got real pitcher-friendly ballparks in the, Dodger Stadium, obviously, where the Giants play. And it just shows you there's talent. There's real managing. There is know-how. There's winning experience all over this division, and it's going to be fun. It really, really is.
Yeah, and you
Thank goodness the Giants got some everyday players.
Absolutely, and that's what they needed. I mean, you mentioned that a little bit earlier that and every manager likes it. I think it's really important to have at least 5 or 6 guys that they're your guys. And you're going to have a couple platoons in there, right? And you're going to have a catcher who, you're going to play 2 out of 3 days or whatever, but you have to have those 5 or 6 guys, I think. And you're going to run them out there because they're your guys. And every manager likes that. Bob has always wanted to do that. He did it a fair amount with the A's when we were together in Oakland. So, I think that's a positive thing. And you got guys who not only play every day, Damon, but they want to play every day. And I think that's important too. And that's what I see with this Giants team. And, the thing I like about this team, it's not even a statistical thing at all, Damon. I just think, and the reason I'm a little bullish on them throughout this season, where I think they got a shot to be a playoff team, is I just think they're better equipped moving forward for whatever they may need to do. Okay. I think depth-wise, pitching-wise, if they need to make a move to switch out a starter who may be struggling, they don't have just one guy. They got a Birdsong and a Harrison and a Wisenhunt down in the minor leagues. They have more options than they've had in the past, and I like that. And then, Damon, if you start looking ahead a little bit, okay, what do we need? We need another ace. Or we need a first baseman, or we need.
You need a first. I mean, here's the thing. I want to be positive. I want to be Mr. Sunshine here. It's too early in the season to be negative. It's time to thank Lamont Wade for everything he's done for the franchise and move on. Yeah. You can't be 30, not even hitting your weight, have the worst WAR on the team, and it's this guy's an automatic out, and it's time to move on from Lamont Wade. I just tell you, Wilmer, you're there every day. You're our everyday first baseman, and that's it. And that's probably an unfair thing to do to Wilmer, but I'd rather have Wilmer in there for any matchup.
Yeah, I think the Wilmer thing is, I don't know that I would do that. I just think Wilmer, to me, he's been great this year, right? But I think he's a 4-game-a-week player. And I know it's like, well, you're just DHing. Are you tired? No, it's not that he's tired. He's not a young player anymore. He's played a lot of baseball.
Yeah.
I do. I think he's a 4-game-a-week guy. I do.
Well,
and
ideally,
he's not playing. You got him on the bench. That's a pretty good bat to have late in a game if he's not in the lineup. That's how I would use Wilmer. I think that's probably the right prescription. And the reason why he's having an awful lot of success is because that is kind of the way he's been used. But he's also, again, he's been out there for 150 at-bats and 43 games. And this is a guy who's, again, it's early in the season, so he hasn't worn down yet. That will come. We all know it. But I'd rather have Wilmer Flores struggling in the other games a week than Lamont Wade, who is pretty much struggling anytime you put him out there. Yeah. Can you make the trade?
Is there somebody out there? Is there anyone to call up? Probably too early to dip into Bryce Eldridge's career and start that major league clock ticking. You don't want to ask, a kid who to come in and save everybody's bacon this early in his career. But there's got to be something other. Maybe David VR. Maybe somebody else can just get this done. I mean, put Yastrzemski over at first for all I care. Just enough with Lamont Wade.
Yeah, my point is, like, if the Giants do decide to make a move for a bat, wherever the position may be, they are equipped to get one, I think, with all these young pitchers they have. They got a ton of young pitchers, guys that we don't even talk about that are in Double-A, and they got young outfielders, that teams like. Luciano starting to hit in Triple-A. So my point is, they have the assets and the ingredients to make a deal if, when the time comes, and it's not here yet, I think they could get a legitimate bat, to play whatever position you feel you need to improve at, which most people look at first base. But that's why I'm kind of bullish on the team, because I just think that they're set up to, step in because this guy's struggling. Well, you got some pitchers that can do that, or you can make a big deal. That's why I like kind of where they're at.
If you're right about that, then we can now officially say Farhan might have gotten two things right, because we got Jung-Hoo Lee, and Jung-Hoo Lee on the day he was signed, that was a roll your eyes signing at the price point. Yeah. It looked ridiculous. He played pretty well, but then you forget about him because he gets hurt and he's gone for the entire year. And the Jung-Hoo Lee jokes kind of stayed. Mm-hmm. This guy's a player, dude. He can play. I love him. He's the most exciting player that they got. He's got a ton of personality. You can't take your eyes off him in the field or at the plate. He's a real hitter, kids, and I like him an awful lot. Now, if you're telling me that Farhan also now has, even though there's only one player, Eldridge, in the top 100 in Major League Baseball prospects, if there really is some guys in your Double-A system, if you have real talent, capitalize on it now. Make the move now. Get aggressive before the trade deadline really starts to heat up. Jump on something. I'd love to see Buster jump on something and say, we don't need this guy from the deadline forward. We can use him right now. We can get this guy out there right now, and I'd like to see them get a little aggressive. We'll see what Buster does. I got to tell you, though, Buster, that was another hire, Glenn, that I thought, is he right for the job because he's right for the job, or is he right for the job because everybody loves Buster Posey?
Yeah.
We haven't seen him draft or develop enough players. Adames, we'll see what this big signing ends up being. I wasn't too thrilled about that, and he's starting to heat up. He's starting to play better lately. I'll give him that much. We'll see what this looks like and what Buster really does behind the scenes, and we'll know more about that this year, right? This will be the first experiment where we see what he does with the assets that he has and how he goes out and uses them. But look, if you're a Giants fan, if you've been around this team, you kind of have to have that in Buster you trust mentality, because whatever he's done in spring training to, like you said earlier, Glenn, vibes, hard to define, hard to explain what it is, but you do know it when you got it, and you certainly know it when you don't got it.
Yeah.
The Giants got good vibes.
And they went from training. That's right. And they went from, and I like Farhan. I'm not going to sit here and criticize Farhan, but they went from, that vibe was not great.
No.
Right? For whatever your reasons may be, that vibe was not great. This vibe is great. Could it change? Yeah. But listen, it's Buster Posey. He's going to get a long leash, and he deserves that. But let's not forget, Farhan, he got Robbie Ray.
He did. And Robbie Ray is this team's second best pitcher without a doubt right now. He's been fantastic.
So credit where credit's due. Let's switch gears a little bit, Damon. I want to talk to you just about the game in general, MLB. Not teams, not the Giants. You mentioned earlier you're a little down on Major League Baseball. I want your thoughts on recently, all these changes that have been made, the commissioner has dug in hard with, the time clock and the shifts and no DH and the schedule where you play every team. A lot of different things have happened in the last 3 or 4 years to enhance the product.
Yeah.
I think most of it has worked, to be honest with you. The time clock or, pitch clock, whatever you want to call it, I think it's been great.
I do too. So I thought I was ready to be offended and complain, but Glen, it has not sped up the game. It's just prevented the game from reaching a screeching halt.
And so I tell you what, Damon, there were nights from probably 2019 to 2022. When did the clock go in? 23, I think. Is that something? Yeah. Anyways, where it was hard to sit in the booth and watch a game. Not because it was baseball. It's Major League Baseball. Great, right? Announcing the game, but there was so much time in between pitches. It started to bother me. It started to affect me where you're like, wow, this game is really slow. And then you start watching guys closer. You're like, get in the box, right? You start watching hitters walk around or, fix their glove. And then you watch the pitch and you're like, throw the ball. And it started to affect me a little bit where you're like, come on, you guys, let's go. And that's why, the clock thing has been great because players adapt to everything. Whatever you throw at them, they may complain a little bit, not like the union may complain a little bit, but they always adapt. And now you got a nice fast game. It's moving right. It's fun to watch. But again, just your opinion about where the game is at right now, as far as stuff like we're talking about, or
there's nothing. Okay, so there's nothing about baseball that has ever been symmetrical. So I don't need the leagues to be symmetrical. I liked the difference between the National League and the American League. And it's not that I don't like DHs. I just don't like the DH in the National League. It's fine in the American League. I like, games to move a little bit brisker. And I always thought that was part of the National League. But if that's now baked into every game because of the new pitch clock, well, then let's get rid of this automatic runner on second base. Let's play real extra innings again because the game is moving along quickly. The fields aren't symmetrical. The pay scale's not symmetrical. Why we have to have a DH in both leagues, I'll never really know. I don't like that. We're reaching a point in Major League pricing where it's just impossible to take a family of 4 to a game. I mean, it's a massive investment. There are very few opportunities to just go and enjoy a game of baseball without it being dynamic priced or, sometimes you can catch a really good deal, but you're in the upper deck. It's turned into a cost prohibitive thing. And I got to tell you, these major league owners, pardon my French, most of them can go eat a bag of dicks. I can't stand these guys. They have, John Fisher specifically, have ruined what matters in baseball. Connections between communities and fans and the never-ending pursuit of the most amount of money possible is so obviously the mission that, to me, it's really, really turned me off. I will also say that when the Cubs won the World Series in 2016, I basically, was able to lay my burden down. And, I was able to be normal again. And I realized that, baseball is fantastic as a sport. It's the people who manipulate it and profit off it who have done an awful lot to ruin it. And it's up to me to, I guess, ignore them because I do love the game. I love taking my son to the ballpark and, he's 5 years old. I got a 3-year-old who's not even really ready to go to the ballpark, but he gets it. And he sees the beauty of it. And I love that. And I want to transfer that to him. I want to ingrain a love of baseball into my son. But then imagine everyone in the last, 20 years who did that in Oakland. How happy are you that you built a love of baseball into your son in the city of Oakland only to watch what happened in Oakland unfold? And I know that you are, as abreast of what the hell happened there as anybody possibly could be.
But I think, David, and I mean, I think though, in an argument for you would be, I don't think we should lump all owners together with what John Fisher did. I mean, I think there are some owners that they don't
they voted for it unanimously.
Well, but if you think about that, the whole vote thing, Damon, we know why every team voted for it, okay?
Because they're greedy.
Money
grab.
Well, but my point here is, and follow me on this because I know this for a fact. Other owners, they don't give a rip about the A's and where the A's are going to play. The reason all owners vote yes is because Major League Baseball knows exactly who voted yes and if anybody voted no. Every owner is worried that somewhere down the line, Damon, somewhere down the line, let's say I'm an owner, okay? Somewhere down the line, I may need something from Major League Baseball. I may need a vote yes from Major League Baseball. Could be anything. And I'm telling you, Major League Baseball keeps score. If you voted against that, that makes us look bad. So
I get it. I get it. Political play.
You know what I'm saying? You understand that owners are like, listen, I'm going to vote yes for the A's moving to Las Vegas because
I do. But
I don't care.
Can I also say this, though? Running terrible owners out of baseball has happened in baseball. Getting rid of shit owners. I mean, really, all you need is just replace one dickhead billionaire with another billionaire who's less of a dickhead. Someone would have absolutely come in. You know, we could have replaced Fisher with Joe Lacob easily. That could have happened. Major League Baseball could have made that happen. They chose not to. They chose not to be a subsidiary of John Fisher's, absolute no talent life. He's the son of a rich kid. That's all he is. He's got no political will, no political capital. He can't get two people to agree on anything at any point in time. Vegas ain't happening, Glenn. I'm telling you, it's not going to happen. He will screw this up. I just know it. I know it. I believe in it. There's no way with tariffs and all the cost, whatever they think that their stadium was going to cost. They're in a whole new ball game and world now. So I can see how that doesn't happen. The A's should be in Oakland tonight. They should have never been asked to leave. They should have been sold to John. They should have been sold to Joe Lacob, and you can replace bad owner from Marge Schott to what's his name with the Dodgers. They get rid of lousy owners, and they have in the past. Why they decided to let this guy get away with baseball murder, I do not know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. And I think that's a fair question. And, if you look back at the history, and I've studied this a lot because it's kind of fascinating, the history of expansion and relocation in Major League Baseball, it's really interesting, Damon. And I had this conversation with many, many, many A's fans, even though it was sort of counterproductive because it's not what happened. But if you look back in the 60s, things really started to happen, expansion in baseball, and you had teams moving, right? And then in 1972, okay, follow me here, the Washington Senators moved to Texas, correct? Became the Texas Rangers, right? And so think about this time frame from 1972, that move, until right now. That's what, 53 years, 52, give or take. There's only one team in Major League Baseball that has moved in 52 years. It was the Expos to Washington, D.C. One move. One franchise move, not expansion. We're talking about relocation. One team moved in 52 years from 1972 till right now. So Major League Baseball doesn't want their teams moving. So why
owners don't want to move their teams?
Why did this seem so easy?
Most owners don't go about systematically ruining a team's relationship with a city over the course of 20 years like John Fisher did. John Fisher The only plans that he has ever executed were breaking the Oakland A's. He ruined that franchise. He did so intentionally. It was the plot of Major League actually happening in real time, where the owner ruins the team so spectacularly that fans give up on him. Attendance dies. He did nothing. They didn't even put a new cone of paint on the Coliseum. My friends over at the Last Dive Bar, they're so right. That could have been a glorious dump. They could have, the Coliseum, for all of its flaws, was also awesome and could have been made awesome by an owner who was a good caretaker of the game. John Fisher is a caretaker of his own investment. He doesn't give a rip about baseball. He doesn't.
If that is true, and, I think a lot of people feel the way you do, then me and three rich
dudes would have already won a World Series in Oakland. Seriously, all I need is a bag of money. I could have done incredible things with the Coliseum. I've got 5 ideas, and they start with fresh coat of paint, not treating your fans like assholes, actually investing in the major league product. Let's take advantage of the best, easiest, biggest parking lot you could ever have and put some things out here for people to actually do. Let's get people to want to come to the games. Like, it would have been so easy. It would have been so easy to make the A's work, and the amount of effort it took to ruin that team was twice the effort it would have taken to actually had some success with it. Yeah, which makes me think it was all done intentionally, and it will never not bother me.
Yeah. I can tell it bothers you. And you know what? I think it bothers a lot of people. I mean, it bothers me too. I'm not going to lie to you. And I think too, there's some things coming up, and we don't know what's happening with this Las Vegas thing. They're supposed to put a shovel in the ground in June.
I know what's going to happen. I know what's going to happen. I know. Don't tell me I don't know. I know what's going to happen. It ain't happening. It's not going to happen. And that's the thing. And Major League Baseball is going to realize we should have gotten rid of this guy because he's so thoroughly embarrassed us. Why would they give the fertile soil of Las Vegas to such a terrible gardener?
Yeah. And you know what else too is, and this is not going to help, I don't think, help the A's quest to get to Vegas, is we're sitting on a lockout in a couple years, guys. I mean, and you're like, well, what does that have to do with, a team moving? But my point is a lockout leaves a really, really, really bad taste in baseball fans' mouth, right? I hate it. You hate it. People who pay money to go see these teams, they hate it. How are the people of Las Vegas gonna look and see maybe their stadium's half built and now you got a lockout? I think that's an issue here.
Let's also go in another direction. Let's say there is no lockout. They build the stadium. It's objectively wonderful. Everyone loves what they've done in Las Vegas. Watch them then turn around and just be the Pittsburgh Pirates of the West, where he's got this beautiful ballpark that's almost full every night, and he still won't invest in his team. He still will pocket profit instead of reinvesting it in the franchise. I do not trust him. I think I know what a colossal I'm just going to be nice here and friendly. John Fisher, and what happened to the A's has so thoroughly damaged my relationship with the sport of baseball that it affects the Giants, who I covered, the Cubs, who I've rooted for my entire life, and my overall curiosity as to what happened around Major League Baseball. Again, it's never been at a worse spot in my life. And I grew up, I was the kid who pored over box scores. I worshiped at the altar of Mark Grace. What did Mark Grace do last night at Wrigley was the only thing on my mind as I ate every bowl of cereal in my life, looking at box scores. I was as romantically deep in baseball as you could be. But I'm like the abused spouse who actually had the guts to leave, I guess, and just say, enough is enough. Enough is enough, Ike. I'm Tina. I'm leaving. and here's the thing, though. It still pulls me back in. There's moments that I love, but this is a broken relationship that Major League Baseball needs to needs to work. Major League Baseball has so thoroughly lost its place in the American sports conversation that it's not just me. It's not just me. What used to be discussed all the time is now hardly brought up in sports conversations that I have as I feed the YouTube beast. When I feed it 49ers or football, it gobbles it up. When I feed it basketball, playoff basketball, it gobbles it up. When I feed it baseball, a couple bites, a few nibbles, but it doesn't nearly carry the weight. I mean, the biggest two sports in America used to be boxing and horse racing. And if baseball's not careful, they're going to join that conversation. And this used to be huge. It's not as big. The money's getting thrown around. The Major League Broadcasting rights make all these owners very, very rich, and they can point to profit margins and declare it a great success. But just from a conversation standpoint, relationships with baseball have so thoroughly changed. And I think that as we watch a decline in radio, that's not going to help baseball because an awful lot of that radio baseball romance is fostered there. And now you got a generation of kids who don't watch baseball and don't listen to the radio. So I think Major League Baseball needs to hold on to guys like us more than try to appeal to a next generation who probably isn't that interested, which brings me to the Giants City Connect uniforms, which should be shot into the sun. Are you kidding me with these City Connect uniforms? Are they actually trying to make me not watch baseball? Like, I was going to watch this Giants game, but these uniforms, you look like you look like an all lesbian softball team wearing these uniforms. What are you doing with these uniforms? Who designed those? I understand what they were going for. We want to have a tribute to the city and its music. And it's a baseball. Just be baseball. The Giants have the greatest uniforms there are. Just wear those. You want to have the black pullovers? You want a Barry Bonds cool orange throwback Orlando Cepeda pullover? Do that. We don't need the color purple involved with the San Francisco Giants. Who is again?
Hey, can I say,
old man angry?
Can I say something?
Yes.
That was a 7.5 minute rant by you. Very strong. I like the City Connect uniforms.
No! Why? How?
I think they're kind of cool.
Do you?
Yes, I do.
Oh.
So let's get to this weekend.
If you gave me one, I'd hand it right back to you. No, I'll never wear this. Ugh.
You're sweating from your brow. I got you all worked up. I'm worried about you.
It's okay. It's all right. I'm on blood pressure.
Right, so let's end the show on this weekend and A's Giants going at it at Oracle Park. And, I'm going to go. I'm looking forward to it. But the one thing that I'll miss, and it was the thing that I enjoyed the most when I was broadcasting the games that these two teams played, is the games at the Coliseum where it was literally half and half. I mean, it was, 50% Giants fans and 50% A's fans for the most part, right? And that's not a criticism of A's fans. It's just Giants fans came over, and I will miss dearly the crowd cheering both ways, right? And you just don't get that in major league stadiums really anywhere, right? Even when the Angels and the Dodgers play, you don't get that. Cubs, White Sox, you don't really get that, where there's that many, fans from the other team. And I'll always remember those games at the Coliseum because I just thought it was super cool. Because really, you can almost go half the stadium was orange and black. The other half was green and gold. And the fans got into it, and they were into it. But yet they were good with each other because they were still Bay Area baseball. A's fans.
It was a wonderful, healthy rivalry.
Yeah,
it was a wonderful, healthy rivalry. It really was. And
right? When they played on a weekend, it was like people started talking about it on Thursday, and that's just not going to happen. Even them playing in San Francisco, there'll be A's fans there, but just that excitement of Oakland, San Francisco, ballparks are 15 miles apart. All that was there 2 weekends a year out of the baseball season. It's never going to be the same, obviously. And I will miss that a lot. And it's too bad.
I will too. I will too. Baseball to chase profit has taken something very special and just completely disregarded it. Something that really did matter. The Bay Bridge series was a very fun coming together of two rivals who had great franchises with rich tradition and history and superstars, and it's going to be less than now, always and forever, because of what happened. I'll say this: it'll feel more like a Bay Bridge rivalry at the ballpark in San Francisco, because at least that's where it did happen, and it is happening out there again. And the uniforms being on the field together always look great, and it'll look good, but it'll feel a little bit different. I have yet to be to head up to Sacramento to a game. Haven't been there yet. I've heard mixed reviews. And I see the merits in watching a major league ballpark in a tiny stadium. I also don't think this is Major League Baseball either. And I cannot believe that baseball has written off and said, yeah, let's do this. They should have forced John Fisher to finish out his time in Oakland. They really did. But again, he so thoroughly broke that relationship, he wasn't even allowed to. It's a weird and sad situation that, again, could have just been avoidable if we could replace one billionaire with another. That's all baseball needs. Just a rich guy to own the team. Nameless, faceless, rich guys who aren't interested in manipulating, the history of the game. That's all owners should be. I don't want to even know an owner's name until they're picking up a trophy. You just cut the check and go away. So that's how I feel. But yeah, look, it should be a good series because the A's are good.
Yeah, they are good.
Giants are good. Absolutely. And for a minute, we'll put all of our burdens and my complaining down, and my blood pressure will go down, and it'll just be about baseball, and that'll be good.
I hope so, right? Because I'm worried about you right now.
I do this every day. This is what I do.
I know.
By the way,
and
you know who I'm not worried about? You. Who? Look at all those Emmys above you. Yeah. Are those yours?
Yes, they're mine. 13 of them. Where did it get me?
You're not borrowing any of those from Dwayne?
No, he's got 14, I think, and I got 12, I believe is what it is. But yeah.
You know what I would do if I were the San Francisco Giants? I would hire Glen Kuiper to be another voice of the San Francisco Giants. How long are we away till that happens?
You know what? You're asking the wrong guy. That would be wonderful. I would love it, but I don't make those decisions. But we'll see. But thank you for that sentiment. I do appreciate that.
It's time.
It is
time.
We'll see. Hey, DB, let's wrap this up. Thank you very much. You've been a good sport with me on this YouTube thing, which I'm starting, and you're a YouTube rock star, and you are.
I don't know about that, but
oh yeah, you are. But I appreciate your help. You've been loyal, and you've helped me get this thing going. Even tonight, sitting with me for 45 minutes. So thank you for everything you've done. I listen. I said I don't agree with everything you say, but I listen. And isn't that really what it's all about, right? You want
I appreciate it. And when it comes to you, you have always, all Kuiper children have always been pretty damn nice to me. You, Dwayne, Jeff, there's probably more I don't even know about.
Yeah, my sister loves you. She's a big fan.
Well, thank you to her very, very much.
She lives in Wisconsin, but she thinks you're great.
Well, that means she could give me some. She could get me some Kringle then.
Yes, I'll get you some Kringle. How about that?
Sounds good, man. It's great to see you. Let's do this again. Let's do it again soon. I love talking baseball with you, man. And you know what? There's a lot of things that make me mad about baseball, but talking baseball with you, it sure ain't one of them. So let's do it again.
You know what? And thanks to your viewers who may have popped over to my YouTube channel, Glen Kuiper Show, All Giants. And if they did, please subscribe. And we'll be back next week with another live show. Damon, thanks again, buddy. That's it for the Glen Kuiper Show, All Giants. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you later.